Isn't this just beautiful? What's up everybody, RetroWolf88 coming at you today with another pickups video. This time, these are my pickups for the month of July and August. I had to do 2 months worth of pickups for this video because I didn't quite get enough stuff in July to justify a video for July. As many of you probably know, this is not all I got in the month of August. I also picked up one of the largest and best video game lots I've ever picked up in my life with over 2,000 items, which of course I'm not going to include in this video because it has its own video which will be in the description down below, so be sure and check that out. In this video, as I said, I'm going to share with you the pickups outside of that game lot that I got for the month of July and August, but before we get into that, here is a word from our sponsor for this video, The Retro Cave.
Has picking a movie to stream become a chore? Did that day one download patch for your video game ruin your entire existence? Forget about all that and step into the Retro Cave. Look at interesting things on the wall. Play some retro games. Pick a retro movie to watch. And don't forget to drink a beer. Or 2 or 3. Come and visit us at the Retro Cave. We are open 24 hours a day or whenever you need us. All of this could be yours for the low monthly admission fee of $69.99. Call us at 555-1212 whenever you would like to visit the Retro Cave.
Wow, that Retro Cave sure does look pretty awesome, and what a great deal. I am definitely going to go check that place out after this video. So be sure and hit that subscribe button so that you can join the RetroWolf88 family, and let's get into my pickups for the month of July and August. Alright, so we're going to kick things off with pickups from other game collectors on Instagram, as well as a few retail game store pickups that I got. But I want to start with 2 holy grail items for the Nintendo GameCube that I got in the month of August. So happy to have these items, and I got them from a couple of really good friends on Instagram. First off, we have, for the GameCube, the Resident Evil 4 GameStop Special Edition. This is incredible. It comes in this really cool metal tin, and then when you open it up here, it has some really nice goodies in it, including a certificate of authenticity. You've got a little prologue storybook here for Resident Evil 4, and then of course you have the game itself. This is something that I've wanted in my GameCube collection for quite some time, and it was hooked up to me by one of my really good friends on Instagram, Carl, aka the RetroGamingZone. Be sure and check out his Instagram profile. I will leave the Instagram profile names for everybody that I got things from this month in the description down below. But I'm very happy to have this as part of my GameCube collection. Now, another holy grail item that I got for the GameCube that I'm even happier to have in my collection, from Instagram user RetroSniper, who has hooked me up on multiple occasions. This is incredible. The Resident Evil 4 chainsaw controller for the GameCube, sealed in mint condition. Absolutely incredible. I have wanted one of these for quite some time, and never in my wildest dreams did I think I would get one sealed. I always thought, you know, maybe I would find one loose, but RetroSniper really hooked it up and he gave it to me for a fantastic price. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. What a great piece to have in the collection. I'm very happy about that. Now, let's get into some of the other stuff. From my local retro game store, I got a few pickups. I got Snake Rattle and Roll. Now, I had Snake Rattle and Roll on the NES, but it was the PAL version, so I had to get the NTSC version, and they hooked me up with that. So that was very cool. And then this copy of Ring King that is in pretty poor condition, but you know, I got it, they marked it way down for me because of the condition. I'll replace it on down the road with a cleaner copy. Also, as you all know, I'm going for a complete Nintendo GameCube collection, including the Player's Choice games. So I picked up a few Player's Choice editions that I did not have. We got the Player's Choice version of The Incredibles and the Player's Choice version of Let me try that again. And the player's choice version of The Lord of the Rings Return of the King for the Nintendo GameCube. Now, while I was in the retro game store, I saw something that caught my eye. I saw this sitting on a shelf behind the counter for the Super Nintendo, the Legend of Zelda Ancient Stone Tablets. This is a homebrew Zelda game that's sort of a sequel to The Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, and I've heard that this is a really fun game. Not had a chance to play it yet, but they sold it to me boxed at a really good price, so I wanted to add that to the collection. I'll have to play this at some point because I really love Link to the Past, and I've heard that this is a very good homebrew that's faithful to the franchise. While I was in Ohio to interview Jerry and Shaun and tour their game rooms, which I will leave a link to those videos in the description down below, me, Shaun, and Jerry went to a local game store near Shaun's house, and I picked up a complete in box, pretty much mint condition copy of Turtles 2, the arcade game for the NES. For the NES, I'm looking for boxed copies of games that I have a lot of nostalgia for, some of my favorite games for the NES, and this is definitely one of those. In addition to that, at a bookstore in Ohio that also sold retro games, I picked up the player's choice version of 007 Everything or Nothing. From a really good friend of mine that's local, I got a boxed copy of Super C for the NES, complete in box, really good condition. Not mint, but in really good condition. And again, this is another one of those games that I had to have a boxed copy of. I don't have a boxed copy of Contra yet, so I'll need to track that down to go along with this, but I'm very happy to have this in the NES collection. Next up, from Instagram user WestSideCollectorClaims. He also has a regular Instagram account called WestSideCollector. He hooked me up with Wonder Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap for the Sega Master System. I'm actually going for a complete Sega Master System collection, and he's actually hooked me up with quite a few games in my collection, which you can see partially behind me here, behind all those other games. I was very happy to add this to the collection because Wonder Boy 3 is a classic game, and you can actually play, I think, the remake of it on the Switch, and it's worth picking up because it's a really good game, published physically by Nicalis as well. Really happy to add that to the collection. Next up, from Instagram user Video Games and Stuff 14, he hooked me up with an NES game that I did not have called Puss in Boots for a great price. This card is really nice too. The label's really clean, really good looking, so I was happy to add that to the collection. And finally, I've actually started collecting some VHS here lately. I'm only going for the VHS movies that I watched as a kid that I'm very nostalgic for, some of my favorite movies as a kid and a teenager. I had to pick these two up from Instagram user 8-Bit Cell Primacy. He hooked me up with Double Dragon and Mortal Kombat on VHS. Now I just need Mario Brothers movie and Street Fighter and a few others, and I'll have a nice little collection of video game movies on VHS. So really happy to add that to the collection as well. Alright, now we're going to switch over to the Nintendo Switch games that I picked up in July and August. Alright, now let's get into the Nintendo Switch games that I picked up for the month of July and August, and there's some really good stuff, little more than half of which are limited release games, and then we've got our regular stack over here. Let's actually start things off with the limited release games. So from Strictly Limited Games, we have their 4th Switch release, which is a beat 'em up, a 1-to-3 co-op beat 'em up for the Nintendo Switch called Raging Justice. I've heard that it's an okay beat 'em up. It's not anything that's going to knock your socks off, but it's decent from what I've heard. This is from Red Art Games, and it is a pixel art 2D horror, so kind of survival horror adventure game, I believe, called Stay. And I've heard that this is a pretty decent game. Then we have from Special Reserve Games via Limited Run Games, The Messenger. I have sadly not had a chance to play The Messenger yet. I've heard that it's absolutely phenomenal, especially if you like the Ninja Gaiden games, the classic Ninja Gaiden games. So this is definitely on my backlog, and I will be playing it soon, and that front cover is incredible. Can't wait to get into this one. We have 3 releases from Limited Run Games. We have Aegis Defenders, which is Limited Run Games release number 34 for the Switch. Looks like a pretty cool little 2D pixel art adventure game. We have Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight, Limited Run Games release number 37 for the Switch. Then we have a classic, Dragon's Lair Trilogy, Limited Run Games release number 36, and this comes with 3 games. It comes with Dragon's Lair, Space Ace, and Dragon's Lair 2 Time Warp. Next up, from East Asia Soft, we have a really fun game, Death Road to Canada. First time I booted this game up, I played it for about 2 to 3 hours. I just couldn't stop. It's a very quirky, very intriguing sort of zombie survival game, but it's also goofy, and it's just a lot of fun. And it came with a pretty cool little extra, which is this little keychain you see here, which is a little mini case of the game. And if you open the little mini case up, there's a spot in there for the Nintendo Switch cartridge. I thought that was pretty cool. Also from East Asia Soft, we have Oniken plus Odalis Collection. This is 2 games on 1 cartridge, Oniken and Odalis. They look somewhat similar, but they're sort of 8-bit 2D pixel art games inspired by games from the NES era. And honestly, they look like a lot of fun. I'll actually be playing this game pretty soon for a video on the channel that you all should see in a couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for that. Outside of the limited games, we've got some really cool stuff here. We have Umahara Fresh Kawase from Nicalis. Now, I buy every physical game Nicalis releases because of the fact that every time Nicalis releases a physical game, the first printing of that game comes with a bunch of goodies inside the box. And most of the time Nicalis releases really good high quality games. However, I didn't dig this game. I couldn't get into it. But my first impressions of this game, I don't know, it just wasn't my kind of game. Next up from Nintendo, we have Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 The Black Order. I played this a little bit with the editor, and it's a lot of fun. It's a pretty fun, just kind of mindless action game, action sort of beat 'em up game, and it is somewhat repetitive, but it's one of those games that you can just kind of turn your brain off and just fight your way through the game without even really thinking about it all that much. So it's pretty fun in that aspect. Then we have Guacamelee 1-2 Punch Collection, which features Guacamelee and Guacamelee 2 all on 1 cartridge with all the DLC. I have sadly not had a chance to play either Guacamelee game yet, but I've heard that they're both really excellent Metroidvania games. Definitely on my radar, and I will definitely be playing these very soon. One of my favorite roguelites got a physical release on the Switch, and that is Enter the Gungeon. This game is fantastic. If you like roguelike games and you like twin stick shooters, you need to play Enter the Gungeon because it's such a good game, very addicting, very hard, but the more you play it, the better you get, and the easier it gets as you unlock new stuff. But this is such a fantastic game. Play it. Next up, I couldn't not pick up the Collection of Mana physically for the Nintendo Switch because it comes with Final Fantasy Adventure, Secret of Mana, and Trials of Mana for the first time in English, all on 1 cartridge. And Secret of Mana and Trials of Mana, I believe, can both be played with up to 3 people, co-op, so that's really cool. But I've played Final Fantasy Adventure and I've played Secret of Mana quite a bit when I was younger, but never Trials of Mana. To have this physically, and look at that cover, just absolutely beautiful. To have this game physically is just really awesome on the Nintendo Switch. Makes me very happy. Next up, one of my all-time favorite games, Terraria. I pretty much own this game physically for every console that it was ever released on. I started playing this game back when it first released on PC, I think like nearly 10 years ago, before anybody even really knew what it was. I have got a lot of experience with Terraria across PC and various consoles, and there's a reason why it's one of my favorite games of all time. It's so freaking fun and addicting with such a great sense of discovery. There's so much to discover and find in this game. You're always finding new stuff in this game. Even 50 to 100 hours in, you're still finding new stuff, and I just love that. It's a very deep game. There's a lot to it, and it's just such a blast, especially if you play with other people. And lastly, we have got Astral Chain, which is another game that I really want to play and just have not had a chance to yet. It's been getting fantastic reviews. It's from Platinum Games, the creators of Bayonetta 1 and 2. And they're just so good at making fast-paced, intense action games. Cannot wait to get into this one. So those are my Nintendo Switch pickups for July and August. Next, let's get into a small NES game lot that I picked up and then a large game lot that I picked up. Okay, so as I've stated time and time again, another really good way to build up a collection is to build contacts. If you have contacts with people that get games regularly, whether they get them from garage sales, flea markets, thrift stores, whatever, if you can build contacts with local people that get the games but they don't care anything about keeping them, you can usually get a lot of good stuff if you build up trust with those people. So I've got 2 people locally that are sort of my contacts, and they'll usually contact me anytime that they have games. This is one such guy, and he usually contacts me with retro games, whereas the other guy, which we'll get into in a minute with the next lot, usually has sort of like PS1 and above But I got a small lot of NES games from the first guy that's local. He gave them to me for a fantastic price, and there's some pretty good stuff here. We have Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt, actually 2 copies. I've got so many copies of this game, it's ridiculous. Silent Service, Baseball, Tecmo Super Bowl, Spy Hunter, Top Gun, Captain Skyhawk, really good game, Metroid, Pro Wrestling, Back to the Future, Bad Dudes, Super C with an unfortunate large tear in the label, Legacy of the Wizard, Baseball Stars, Blades of Steel, 10-Yard Fight, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Super Mario Bros. 3, Top Gun, Double Dribble, Galaga, and Kung Fu. So there's nothing absolutely crazy in this lot of NES games, but the price was so good I just couldn't say no. It was a really good deal, and I can't wait to see what he hooks me up with next. Now let's get into a pretty big game lot that I picked up in the month of July. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff here. This guy hooks me up every 2 or 3 months whenever he actually goes yard selling for CDs, but if he finds games for a good price, he'll pick them up. He cares nothing about collecting games, so once he's amassed a pretty decent lot of games, he'll contact me, and he will sell them to me in one big lot for a fantastic price every time. Never fails. Such a great guy, and he knows what the games are worth. He just doesn't care about trying to sell them individually. He would rather just dump them all on somebody he trusts. So we have a pretty good relationship. So let's go through these real quick. Let's start with the Xbox 360 and Xbox games here. We have Darkest of Days, Red Dead Redemption, Viva Pinata, Silent Hill Homecoming, Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects, 2 copies of Star Wars Battlefront 2, TMNT Mutant Melee, and Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dawn of Destiny. Alright, we've got a couple of Sega Saturn and Sega Dreamcast games here. Virtua Cop, Daytona USA, GTA 2 for the Dreamcast, Tokyo Extreme Racers. Then we've got some empty Nintendo DS and 3DS boxes, empty unfortunately. Rune Factory 2, Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, Super Mario 3D Land, Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D, Pokemon X, and Nintendogs plus Cats. We've got a couple of consoles here. We have a Cobalt Game Boy Advance SP in pretty grungy condition, needs to be cleaned up really good. We have a PS1, and we have a Nintendo Wii. Speaking of the Nintendo Wii, we've got a few Wii games. New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Top Shot Dinosaur Hunter, Marble Saga Kororimpa, Sealed, don't know anything about this game, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, Battalion Wars 2, Kirby's Epic Yarn. Did y'all see that? That PS1 just randomly opened. Not sure what that was all about. WarioWare Smooth Moves, and Shimano Extreme Fishing Rod Bow Spear. Next up for the PlayStation 1, we have Wipeout 3, Dune 2000, no manual, Army Men 3D, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Chocobo Dungeon 2, no manual, Crash Team Racing, no manual, Crash Bash Loose, Crash Bandicoot 2, Loose, Reboot, a show that I used to love on Cartoon Network when I was a kid. If you've seen Reboot, let me know that in the comments down below, I'm curious. Army Men Sarge's Heroes, Death Trap Dungeon, no back cover, Final Fantasy VII Greatest Hits, Army Man World War Land Sea Air, Rayman, and PlayStation Long Box A-Train. Next up, GameCube. We got a couple of GameCube controllers. We've got a just regular purple GameCube controller. And we also have the SpongeBob GameCube controller, which I was really excited about at first because I really want this controller, but unfortunately, as you can see, it's missing the little SpongeBob thing in the middle, and also the control stick is missing the rubber padding, so it's not in very good condition, so I probably will not be keeping that. For the GameCube, we have Pokemon Coliseum, Resident Evil 4 Player's Choice, Burnout, fantastic game, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, SX Superstar with a printed label, Tony Hawk's Underground, True Crime Streets of LA Player's Choice, Bionicle Heroes, Metroid Prime with the Metroid Prime 2 bonus disc demo, which unfortunately is missing, Harry Potter Prisoner of Azkaban Loose with manual, Star Fox Assault, Super Smash Bros. Melee complete and in really good condition, Animal Crossing, Batman Vengeance Loose with manual, a loose Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Master Quest disc, and a loose copy of Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. And finally, we've got the PS2 games. So we have the God of War 2 Colossus Battle demo disc, Grandia 2, NFL Street 2, Harvest Moon Save the Homeland, Growlenzer Generations, unfortunately missing disc 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Shining Force Neo, Dot Hack Volume 2 Reminisce, Drakon the Ancient Gates, Final Fantasy 12 Collector's Edition in the Steelbook, which is pretty nice, pretty heavy too, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, Firefighter FD18, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Dirge of Cerberus Final Fantasy 7, Simpsons Hit and Run, a loose copy of Soul Reaver 2, a loose copy of Crash Bandicoot Wrath of the Cortex, Need for Speed Underground 2, a loose copy of Teen Titans, Maximo Ghosts to Gore, Crash Bandicoot Wrath of the Cortex, Crash Team Racing, and another copy of Teen Titans. So there you have it, folks. Those are my pickups for the month of July and August, besides that massive 2,000 item game lot, which again, video link will be in the description down below. Be sure to go check that out because that is the best game lot that I have ever and probably will ever pick up in my life. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure and hit that like button and let me know in the comments down below what you think about these pickups. And if you have anything to say about any of these games, throw those in the comments down below. Huge shout out to Big Retro Show for that really cool fake ad that he did for me at the beginning of this video. The Retro Cave sounds really cool, and I would probably pay for that. Probably not, but I would like to see the Retro Cave. So check out Big Retro Show. Channel link will be in the description down below. As always, I appreciate everybody who watches the videos. If you stuck through to the very end, thank you so much. I cannot even tell you how much that means to me. If you're new to the channel and not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, join the RetroWolf family, and I will see you all in the next video. Keep playing games and having a good time. Later.